it's really kind of a win-win-win, because if you widely spaced oaks on a grassland, you increase carbon sequestration between 5 and 10 times. You actually, it's counterintuitive, but you increase grass production by 30%. And if anybody ever asks the cow, which you never do, but you should, is cow comfort goes up, and then rate of gain increases. So I just think it's a wonderful way. But I also lay the trees out on the grid. You know, why do you do that? That doesn't look natural, whatever. But some of them are random and some are on grids. And that's so you can go in and hay, and it also helps with grazing. And the other half of this is we also have terrific amounts of woody plants coming in. We were just over here grousing about the number of woody plants coming in. And so I probably spend more time killing trees than I do planting trees, you know, but as carbon levels increase, woody plants are kind of exploding, and so we got an unbelievable amount of Siberian elm, mulberry, and cedar.
This is something of like a silvopastoral system, right? And so this is cows integrated with trees, and this is an agroforestry practice, okay? And so these agroforestry practices are becoming more popular, and it's an important adaptation to how we can live and do agriculture in the Great Plains. Here's the thing to keep in mind. An oak savanna is also a historical ecosystem to parts of the Great Plains. There are oak savannas in Nebraska, but you tend to find them more to the east into Iowa. But there are oak savanna ecosystems in Nebraska, and primarily the oak that you find in these ecosystems is the bur oak. And so I think it's an important part of this story is, you know, we're near Branched Oak Lake, we're on Branched Oak Farm, Branched Oak Road,
Oak Valley.
Oak Valley. So Doug is actually investigating what I would consider to be kind of the spirit of this area. If you go to the west over here, you find Oak Glen. You know, there are pockets of historical oak trees, and Doug has also scavenged acorns from Rex's Woods, and Rex's Woods is down in Raymond. So if you cross the railroad tracks heading back to Lincoln, as you go through Raymond, over there on the north side, you see these huge bur oak trees. And those are acorns that you saved and you planted out here as well. So he's exploring planting oak trees that are also of his local ecotype. Ecotype being a seed source that is close to where this place is from, okay? That being said, I think oak savanna ecosystems are one of the most imperiled ecosystems in North America. Something like less than 0.02%, so that's less than 0.5% remain. It's a consequence of agriculture, and it's also a consequence of people probably needing wood at some point, right? And cutting a lot of these trees down. But it is a historical ecosystem, and it's an important ecosystem in the Great Plains. For most of us accustomed to living in the city or any place where maybe we're working with our trees, they're always limbed up 6 feet, 7 feet. What's the strategy for leaving the limbs on the bottom?
I'm gonna let the cow. Well, okay. I'm concerned about bur oak blight. I don't like wounding the tree. I used to limb them up, you know, just blah 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 blah. So that's a concern, and I just figure let the cows do it. Cows, they'll love it. Let them prove it.
Do they graze on the lower leaves?
Yeah, they'll eat. You know, cows are 80% graze, 20% browse, and they love the leaves. They love the acorns.
The bur oak is being a keystone species in the Great Plains. That means that this species has something like 250 different types of caterpillars for moths and butterflies, Lepidoptera species, that will feed on its leaves. So it's absolutely incredible from a biodiversity standpoint, from an insect population standpoint, what Doug is doing here. The other thing that comes along with all these caterpillars is birds. And so these birds are feeding on the caterpillars that are now growing and eating on these trees. From a silvopastoral standpoint, they say a savanna is really about 60% open. So at maturity, that's kind of what's characteristic of a savanna, is 60% open. In Nebraska, black cherry, but we also have our native plum, we have choke cherry, and then we have black willow, peach leaf willow, prairie willow. Those are the types of things that would also attract a lot of caterpillar and biodiversity species. So if you're interested in doing this on your farm, one, you can buy oaks from Great Plains Nursery. You can buy oaks from the Statewide Arboretum. Doug oftentimes collects acorns. Your process for germinating an oak is?
But of course, here's the acorns now. Let's see, you know, I mean, I don't know, it'll be, what do you think, August 20th, August 30th?
With these fellas, they afford
Okay, well, don't look at these. Anyway, they'll be ready in, later in August. You pick them up. I mean, you can put them right in the ground if you want.
Sure.
But, you know,
Someone's going to eat it though, probably.
Probably. And so I usually put them in the refrigerator, hold them at 35 degrees over winter, and then bring them out in spring. So that's kind of because they need to be stratified, they need a cold
Stratification.
experience.
And when you're planting an acorn, you plant it on its side, right? That acorn's going to split open and the radical's going to go down, and after a week or week and a half, Bob, something shoots up, and that's where you get your first true leaves.
Usually takes around 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. But sometimes they germinate in your fridge, which is encouraging.